I'm here with the most talented human being on the planet, and I'm so honored to finally have you on this show. Please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for thinking about me and inviting me and giving us this space for us to talk. My name is Gabriel Gustavo Ramos, and I'm from Ciudad Acuña, Coahuila, Mexico.
Wow, you're so sexy when you say that. What kind of art do you do?
Well, I'm gonna sound like this is Mary Catherine Gallagher, and I'm multi-talented, and today just to express myself with song. No, I like to work. I feel like her from Superstar when people ask me that question, but I do work with multiple mediums. My first love was always painting. That was the first thing that I was drawn to when I was a little kid, and I've had wonderful teachers. I love to write. I've obviously delved into filmmaking. I love filmmaking and dancing and cooking, and I feel like I inject my art into everything that I do.
I think I've known you for long enough to be able to have say that I've seen the multimedia outlets that you have, but I've never heard you say about cooking. So that's incredible.
Yes,
is that you?
I've been working in the restaurant industry for all like most of my life. It's what's been paying the bills, and from each place that I've gone to, I've either gotten a recipe or learned how to present something, but it does come from my grandma's because my mom never cooked. Mom never cooked, so it's also a little bit from my grandma's, but also just loving food, and actually it's a great way to connect, to make an impression, to connect. I always remember one of the dishes that you made for us when we were working on El Niño Cariño. There was one little dish with, I think it was couscous and shrimp, and I always remember how it looks, and I remember how it tastes.
Really?
Yeah.
So funny. I don't remember that at all. Actually, now that you're mentioning that, I had the great pleasure of working with you. You directed one of the short films that I really wanted to bring to life. And you literally, like, whatever was in my brain, which I could not express in words, you were literally the one just putting that in as a visual, which is incredible. Do you think that do you feel like you're visually really you just kind of know what works because you grasp just the essence of just kind of like what looks great?
I connect. I mean, obviously, I do have an eye. I like certain patterns of expressions, but I also love people that tell. There's people that can tell me a story and I can instantly see it,
Yeah.
So and it doesn't happen with everybody. It doesn't happen with everything. But sometimes I stumble into a song, onto an artist, or into a script that I love to represent it visually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you did your own film. You did your own feature
Yes,
film.
I did Delusions of Grandeur many moons ago. I did a documentary for One Tree at a Time. I kind of been working on a documentary for my great uncle that's kind of been a little bit on the back burner, but I've also been just doing a little bit more of art direction. I did Pretty Boy directed by Cameron Thrower, and I did a couple of videos with him, and another short film that I did art direction for, production design for, is called Can You Take My Picture? And it's actually going to be coming out on Tuesday on iTunes. So
please let them know the date because it might be passed by the time we air this actually.
Yes. Let me see what's
Tuesday. I'll write it down.
You.
So I guess it'll be the 11th.
Yes, it's right around the corner.
Yes. That's so exciting. Yes. So if you're not able to see it on Tuesday, you'll still be able to see it afterwards.
Yes, of course. It's going to be available to purchase on iTunes.
Beautiful.
And then after that, I'm sure it's going to get released on other platforms. Yes.
That's incredible. And you also do theater.
I do scenic work for theater. Yes, I've been doing. One of the pieces that I'm most proud of, and also just collaborating with artists. It's working with Salvador Benavides, who actually was in the film Delusions of Grandeur. He played the character of Ilusion, the transgender character. Working with Salvador is such a joy, and Salvador Benavides and his partner Eric Yos wrote a wonderful play called To Be Dali, and it basically is. It begins with Dali taking his last breath, and then he's met by the two angels who are going to assess his life and decide whether he is going to ascend or be brought back to Earth as a lower life form. So Salvador commissioned me to help him to make a proscenium arch. And he wanted it based on the collaboration that Dali did with Hitchcock for the film Spellbound. There is a dream sequence where they have this arch with eyes. So he commissioned me to do that for him, and he like just let the reins out, let me have it, and it was a month of work. When we were a little casa, and it was so great to paint while they were rehearsing their play, and Salvador was working on the whole set for it. So it was nice to be within the vicinity of them practicing, and me kind of just each eye has its own property. Some of them are like, one of them is looking at the moon, one of them has the universe, one of them has fire in it, one of them it looks like the sperm going to an ovum. So it was beautiful. It's pretty tall. It's like 12 feet tall.
Oh my
It's beautiful.
God.
And actually they're going to be bringing the play back at Big Casa, and it's going to be starting July 11th through August the 19th, I believe. I believe those are the dates, but just keep that in mind. It's going to be running for about a month at Big Casa. It's great, so you can come in. The play is amazing, and you can also come and see my art.
How amazing! 12 feet, that's huge.
Yes, it's big, and it was a
cool.
month of work. You know, it was a month of. It's very detailed. It was a month of work of just kind of like blocking everything out, surrendering, and completely focusing on that piece. And it was great also to have the space to be able to work in it, you know?
Of course.
Because you don't always have that.
know.
And they were very gracious with us kind of taking over that space. But also Salvador believes in, like, if you go anywhere, if you go, always leave it better than you found it. So not only did we were in that space, but he painted it, redid the bathroom, he redecorated, because he wanted to create a world for you to.
A great kind of philosophy to have.
Oh yeah. And it's. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So your painting is gonna stay there, or is it movable?
It's movable.
Okay.
It's an arch, and it's made in panels, so it's thin.
Oh wow.
But it's made in like 3 huge panels that we kind of. And I think we're going to be adding to it. I don't think any more painting, but I think he wants to make it more like 3D, or more like more like a cube form. The painting will be.
Wow, that's amazing. I wanted to, like, you're so many levels. You just have such an incredible vision, and I actually wanted you to bring up one of my most favorite pieces that I've had the pleasure to have hanging in my house for a little bit. If you don't mind, we'll show them your incredible skills of painting, which is just so amazing. For everybody who's actually listening, and you won't be able to see it, but it's a painting of an old Chola clothing line that was in Silver Lake quite a while ago, and you redid the logo with acrylic paint, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's acrylic.
And then we did that. It kind of was centered around the short film that we did. Did you go to school to paint this incredible?
No.
This is all self-taught.
I started doing it on my own. I love painting hair. Hair is one of my favorite things to do. But like I said, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be around artists. My uncle is named Gustavo Rivera, and I was named after him. He's actually self-taught artist that lives in San Francisco. He has his own history and his own following. When I was a kid, he wasn't living there anymore. So we would come to visit Mexico from San Francisco, and we would always look forward to seeing him, because he was an adult, but he was also a kid, and he would let us run wild. But I spent a lot of time with him.
That must have been paradise.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful because he taught us so many things, but we painted together, and he would let me paint the backyard. And I remember one of the things that always would bother me a little bit is that I always wanted him to define what it was that he was painting, because he's an abstract artist. So I would look at his stuff, I was like, is that a snake? Is that an owl? Is that this? And he would never answer me. He would always say, it's whatever you want it to be. And he always said, the most important thing about a piece of art, it's not what you see, but what it makes you feel. So I always took that with me.
Yeah.
And then a person that taught me so much of how to arrange things is Rodney O'Neill Austin. Rodney O'Neill Austin I worked with in San Francisco, and he had a one woman, one queen show at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. And I just remember you walked in and it was called A Trip to Beaver Creek, Ohio, because that's where it's from. And he had a photo album, and he would just show me how to arrange pictures, because he says, like, just connect a pattern in colors and put them all together, and always remember to keep it simple. So that was always something that I grabbed onto for myself. And then you just, you search out artists and you get inspired, and you grab their philosophies and try to apply them. Which is something that also when I teach dance class, I teach Zumba. One of the ways that I arrange my
choreographies,
musical choices and choreographies is by rhythms and like movements. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to transition from something that's like Bollywood, I want to connect it and then maybe go to something Spanish and just kind of continue that way. So I'm consciously arranging them in that way to kind of tell the story.
Wow, that's amazing. So Zumba classes, that's how exciting is that? How'd you get into that?
It was funny. When I was in college, I went to San Francisco State University. I always loved dancing. I've always loved dancing. You grew up in Mexico, you go to quinceañeras, and I was always the king of the quinceañeras. I got invited to participate in so many quinceañeras. No. and then you grow up and then you start having whatever hang-ups about the way that you want to present yourself, and you want to be cool or whatever. Maybe those things are not cool anymore. But when I went to college, I wanted to go to take flamenco lessons. And at the beginning of the semester, you go to their class, and hopefully you're able to add the class if there's enough space. I would take myself to the flamenco class, and I would stand by the door, and I was never able to cross it.
No.
I never could, for whatever reason, for whatever hang-ups,
right.
whatever people I was maybe putting too much stock on, or how I was going to be perceived. Many moons later, 25, 30 years later, I was going to take, I was depressed. My mom had passed away. I think it had been maybe a year or two, and I just was lost and trying to welcome joy back into my life, because I felt like I was having such a hard time getting back into the rhythm of and participating in the world. And I was gonna take a boot camp class, and then the boot camp class was canceled, and they had a Zumba class, so I left. But then the person that was doing the class turned on the music, and it was La Vida es un Carnaval from Santa Cruz.
Nice.
That was one of my mother's favorite songs. So I'm walking out, and I'm like getting myself back in, and it was so much fun, and it made me feel close to her. So then I started just taking them regularly, and then I was like, well, you know what, I can kind of do this. But also, with one of my Zumba classes, my most important thing is that you feel free in your body. Like, we're there to feel free in your body and have whatever energies flow through you. We want to, we're stuck in calling things masculine and feminine, but I think there is, you can be gentle, you can be brute, you can be strong, you can be any of those things, and whatever way you want to categorize them, but let them all flow through you and express them and just have joy, joy.
Fun.
And it's fun.
That sounds so liberating too, where you don't have to come in with a bunch of knowledge of how to dance, right?
Exactly. No, it's not. It's not like what I always tell people, the most important thing for you to bring is just your smile and your attitude. What I do up there is just a suggestion, and if you're compelled to move any other way, please do so, and I will probably steal all your moves. And I'm always watching, and I'll be following my thing, but then I'll see someone doing something I like, and I'll quickly just, let's do that. So it's fun, it's a lot of fun.
How long is a class? Like an hour?
A class is an hour, and it really has helped me. It has centered me, because it's usually what I do in the morning, and it really helps the flow of the whole day and my whole creative expression. It begins there, and then I'm able to, because I'm jittery, I cannot sit still, and it's something that really kind of
lets it out.
It lets it out, and I'm able to focus better throughout my day.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we're so there's so many thoughts that happen at all times where we get so locked in that I can imagine that if you express yourself through movement freely, you can really just kind of let all that, just the worry kind of release, right? Kind of that it finds its
Yes, I know that I've become a creative hoarder, with your ideas, your thoughts, and you want to hold on to them, and you if you do not get them out, you're gonna start to get blocked, and you're not gonna start it to able to flow. And one of the things that I did recently is that my friend Rebecca had her daughter, Thomason. I rented the space, and I wanted her to have just to spend time with a toddler, and I let her just do whatever she wanted to do, and I was just gonna follow her. And it was great to occupy the space and the mentality of a young little girl, and to move like this one young. I left, we did some stuff that was with instruction, but then I kind of just let her become the coach and teach the class. So it was just her, myself, and her parents, and it was such a good feel to be able to just move without any restriction or thoughts or whatever thing that holds you down. And it really is, that's really what a dance class is.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Wow, that's incredible.
It was great. It was fun. It was fun.
Zoom is kind of exploding all over the place out here.
I think it's it went really big, and then pardon me just 1 second. It went really big, and then I feel like it cooled down. Now it's breaking away in different things. There's groove, there's jam, and basically whatever you want to call it. It's just dancing. It's primal. We forget. I look videos from kids in Africa, the way they move, from all over the world, and you forget that there's something just primal about it that we forget to practice, and then we need to do it. Movement.
We've been so taught to kind of keep it all contained, right? The moment you start enrolling in school, you just kind of forget everything that you wanted to do, and was just kind of put in a box, and you have to behave and don't sit still and stand up straight and do what I tell you and shut up.
Your thoughts don't matter anymore.
Yes.
Basically. I mean, we are all operating at genius level when we're kids, because we're figuring things out, and then once you get into the regimented way of thinking, it's pretty much saying your thoughts are not as important, which is sad,
Yes.
And it's actually it's tied into a little bit of the charity work that I do. I work with Rina Fernandez, who was also in my film Delusions of Grandeur. She has a nonprofit called One Toy at a Time. And what they do is they travel. She collects toys all year round, and used toys, and she cleans them and she makes them brand new. She collects them all year round. She travels to a different country each year. And through Zumba, I do a fundraiser for her every year, and we collect. I collect money for her because that's the thing she needs the most, because it's gonna cost money to ship all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been able to connect something that I love to do, and then to also give back.
To make it different.
And it's great because the toys really are a tool for your imagination.
Right.
And if you go to these places where they have nothing, they have no electricity, no running water, and and some stranger shows up and brings them a toy, and it's going to challenge their minds, even if it's something that breaks or that uses batteries and they don't have the resources to buy batteries. They can break it up and explore that thing, and then just use their imagination, and they can imagine something better for themselves.
Wow, that's amazing. How wonderful. How wonderful to be able to give back with something that you love doing.
Yeah,
I think that's really fulfilling, right?
Yes.
It's amazing. I just wanted to ask you quickly, because it's one of the ways to kind of get a little bit of an insight into your life. What do you feel that is the thing that you have or are still struggling with the most? Just being able to, I don't know, keep the creative juices flowing, or feel like you're matter in the world as an artist?
Discipline. I mean, for me, discipline, but also, I mean, there's, like I said, I feel like there's a poet in me, there's an instructor in me, there's a painter in me, there's a writer, and I feel like sometimes I'm not able to give all of them equal opportunities to play. But also, my mind scatters, and it's really easy to kind of rein it in. And the realities of being an artist, we have to have a job that pays the bills, because it doesn't happen all the time. And for me, it's been restaurant work. And sometimes, dealing with people is very draining,
Yeah.
And sometimes making the time, sometimes you get home from work and all you want to do is just be done with your day.
Yeah.
But you have to muster the energy to create, and then I'll get on a cycle where I feel guilty. Like, I want to go home and chill, but then also, instead of chilling, I feel guilty because I'm not getting up and doing something. But there's moments where I'm very creative. There's moments where, like, it's just bam, 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 bam. A lot of little things happen. Like, when I started, I'm gonna date myself. When I studied film in San Francisco State, I learned to edit with 60 millimeter, and you do a splicer and you cut, and then
by hand?
By hand.
Oh my god.
So then the digital revolution happened, and I felt lost.
I'm sorry, that, yeah.
I gotcha. And I felt lost. I felt stupid, I felt dumb, and it was such a mind fuck. But then, like, it's and you have to adapt to all the mediums. And then we had the mini DV tapes, but now it's become easier, and I've embraced it. But the great thing too is that YouTube is great for tutorials on anything. So now when I have an idea that I want to do with editing, and I'm like, how would I accomplish that? And you can just go to YouTube and look for that specifically, and and it's great. It's great to have the visual. It's like, we learn in so many different ways. It's good to have the visual, it's good to have the audio. Everybody's gonna learn in a different way, but for me, it's nice to see where the screen is, so I can know exactly where they cook. And then the programs change too, and the arrangements of everything's changed. So you have to, like, there's all these tools for you to teach yourself how to do many things. And it's all there. And that's one of the things that I've been able to do. And it's funny because it never occurred to me. And I was like, and I would ponder the idea, like, how, and just look it up.
That's amazing. I think it's so true. I think one is really being disciplined with yourself, so you don't kind of fall into a lethargic period where you don't produce anything at all, because that's kind of depressing. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, if you did something, gradually, you can look back and be like, oh wow, I did all that. But then also being good to yourself and know when you need rest. Know when it's healthy. It's just kind of like, do come home and not worry about it. I think that's a very fine balance, right?
It
like,
is.
Being good to yourself, but also kind of having a straight kind of.
It is, and it will happen, but you just have to. Sometimes the energy's not there. You have to force yourself. Sometimes your energy is there, but you know that you need to take care of yourself too. So, and it is a discipline. It is a lot of discipline, but also, the way you tackle an idea, sometimes for me, it's going to be the written part of it. It's going to be the best way for me to accomplish it. Sometimes it's going to be the visual, sometimes it's going to be the painting, but it's like, just find your groove and go with it. And also, like, I said, I draw inspiration from a lot of different people. Patti Smith, I was watching, I love the way she is as a musician and as a writer. I love reading her. But then one of the advice that she gave at one of the talks that I've seen her do is just like, focus on the work. You might not ever find success through your work, but you could always take away that I did a good job. And it is like, you have to look at your work and say, and when you've done a good job and when it needs more work. But that personal satisfaction, it's worth something, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Also, I love RuPaul's Drag Race, and I get a lot of inspirations from them. I feel like I have an inner drag queen, and I don't necessarily want to present myself as female, but I know I want to convey certain emotions, and I want to connect with music. Zumba lets that inner drag queen for me out. So I get to practice that. But then I also, there's a lot of great messages on the show, like about your inner saboteur. And I've discovered there's so many times where I've let my inner insecurities get the best of me and tackle me down. And I've been learned how to see them and address them and tackle them myself, you know?
Wow.
So that's important. There was one of the winners from that show, her name is Sasha Velour, and I went to go see a show at the Ace Hotel. It was one of the most brilliant elevated shows that I've had ever seen. And she had, from one of her monologues, she said something that resonated with me, and it addressed a little bit of what we're talking about. She said, I cannot tell a story in a linear way. For me, it's circular. Mm-hmm. And she says, you do not grow by assassinating your previous incarnations or your mistakes or all your personalities. You grow by embracing them, you know, and letting them in. And she says, and for you to grow, you accept them, and the circle that you go around and around in is only to discover how elastic you can be to withstand all your personalities. And that really kind of resonated with me.
How elastic you can be.
Yeah.
Can we like write that one down?
Yeah,
that was amazing. What's her name?
Sasha Velour. And the show is called Smoke and Mirrors.
Smoke and Mirrors.
Mm-hmm. And she begins coming down a swing as an angel and singing Annie Lennox Precious. And she breaks her halo and it becomes horns. So she's like Lucifer falling from the sky. And then she did Nina Simone Wallis The Wind. She did a Nosferatu look that was paying tribute to her mother who had died of cancer. And she said that she did a performance like that to her mother, and then the mother had notes. And she wanted, and there was this whole discussion about feminism, and the mother was not liking that she was linking monstrosity to femininity, and Sasha was arguing with her mother, and she's saying beauty can be ferocious, it can be monstrous. It was beautiful. Wow. It was a very profound show that really kind of stayed with me, you know?
Yeah. Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Because I think we're so quick to just kind of like wanting to forget the bad times, or wanting to be like, oh, that's an old version of me, where it's actually so true. I think it's truly only by embracing all of your, you know, pretty and not so pretty aspects do you really get to be a whole human with compassion. You know, that's incredible.
No, yeah, and it's helped me to just kind of understand, there's all these aspects of me, and you know, you have to kind of let them all play. Yes. You know, let them all play. And then I always thought that there was two sides of me, but now I know there's many sides of me, and I need to kind of just give them all equal time. Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes I feel like I've had an affair with art throughout my life, but not really committed myself to it, you know? And it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad, but now like I've discovered a way, like I said, to live and breathe art with every little single thing that I do. I don't drive, I take public transportation, I take that time to listen to music, to read, but like, even through cooking, like I was telling you before in the questionnaire, scents, textures, all of that to me is like, I feel when I'm cooking something, like I surrender myself to the process, I put a record on, and for example, using fresh herbs and picking mint, then I feel like a witch, you know, I feel like I'm putting together. Or if I've got something that's either dough or meat or something that I have to sculpt, I feel like a sculptor, and I'm putting everything together. But also just kind of like let all the scents take me back to either what they remind me of or the people that showed me how to do certain things. And at that moment, like, I'm not just in my kitchen, I am traveling. I am spending time with people that I love that are no longer with me. And I'm also cooking for someone that I care about, for Rudy. Like, Rudy, I love to impress him with food. Because he's so picky about eating, but I love that he cannot resist anything that I make for him. So
amazing. I think that's truly an art form, right? Being able to just kind of like feel the now. And be in it and live it, and that's really where the art comes in. And no matter what you do, it's really hard. It's so easy to escape, either you're looking back or looking forward and getting anxious about it. That's I think that takes training.
And even like, for example, like some of the troubles that I have with editing is being able to still sit still, you know?
Yes.
Sit still on the
Very
computer. Yeah, because I'm a naturally a jittery person.
Yeah.
But then also, one of the issues that I was having before was with storage. But like, if I recommend anybody that's any kind of editing, have an external hard drive. That way, you don't dump everything on your computer.
Yes.
You can have it on the side. That way, your computer
Yeah.
keeps on running. I haven't had those issues again. I've learned from it, but also organization. It's not my strong suit at all.
Yeah.
But it's going to bite
Needs to
you
be
in
done.
the ass if you don't, especially with editing and files and all that stuff, because it's a lot of little information. Like if you're working with that, and like the more organized that you can stay with that, the better.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I have a clear idea of what I'm gonna do, the better. When I sit down, like this little thing that I did for Instagram, it was like a minute little video that it was all recapturing my trip in Japan. It took me 30 hours to edit for a minute, but I had a very clear idea of what I wanted. But you also always have to leave room for the magic or for the stuff that you have never planned and the accidents.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I'll be playing with filters and stuff like that, and all of a sudden something works. It's like it wasn't my intention, but I'll keep it because it's good. So yeah, always come in with a clear idea, but always have leave room for the unpredictable, for the things that you didn't even plan for.
Yeah. I mean, there's where can we see all your stuff? Do you have most of your stuff is online? Like the movie, can we see that? Can we?
You know, with Delusion of Grandeur, it was again, it's a big lesson that I learned. If I hadn't been so stubborn with the way that I wanted to make it, it's something that's probably be available on iTunes or Netflix. But we used music that we didn't have rights for, and we weren't like there's that can be taken out. But it was such a long time ago that I want to keep it the way it is. Like I'm sure I spent so much of my life working. It was like so much that I kind of just want to leave it the way it is. There might be, I mean, there's actually like 2 years ago they did another little showing around here. If there ever is, I will let everybody know. But usually,
it's such a masterpiece.
I love it. I do love it. But I also I want to revisit. I want to make other stuff, you know. It's like, but I don't know. Maybe there'll be a showing or something. But usually on Instagram, I like using Instagram. On Facebook, I have a lot of my artwork that you have on my albums from on Facebook. Instagram is usually just pictures, but I tend to show a little bit of the writing on Facebook. Yeah. I know, I sound like Facebook is so not popular anymore. But I feel like for me, I feel like I get the most response because it's everybody back from back home. And stuff.
No, it's amazing. I'm gonna ask you one last question because I do try to keep the a bit shorter. But do you feel like as an artist you have a responsibility and a mission?
Yes, of course. I mean, your first true mission is to be honest with yourself and true to yourself. I think that's the most important thing. That's where I have issues with that, to always to be sincere. My mission, I guess, would be I'm always striving to connect. Like I want to make a connection with someone. I want people to feel what I felt when I saw the first Pedro Almodovar movie, where I felt not alone. I want people to see a little bit on themselves when they feel lonely, and more importantly, to inspire. You know, to inspire. I want to inspire people the way that all of the artists that I love have inspired me, and that's kind of my biggest ambition. And then a fear of mine is to be gone from this world and to be forgotten. That's something that's scary to me, and I guess that I want to leave something that people say, oh, that Gustavo did that.
I hope that you care for yourself, your body as much as you need to in order to live a very long life, to get all these ideas really out so we can see them for centuries and generations to come.
And I do feel though, I do feel that I'm in an upward creative. Like I feel like I've been able to tackle and everything and I've been feeling way more productive lately. So you'll be seeing more stuff.
Yay!
Yeah, for sure.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you
the
very
show,
much.
Gustavo. I could talk to you for another
My
1,000 hours,
pleasure.
which I have the opportunity to do, and I hope that everybody's gonna go check out your Instagram and your Facebook and all your social media to really get
Yes.
an intimate look of all these incredible avenues that you really give voice to.
Thank you. Thank you. On Facebook, you can find me as Gabriel Gustavo Ramos, and on Instagram is G Gustavo Ramos.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be writing all that
Awesome.
down, so they'll just be able to click a link and get you.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you so
Mika.
much. Oh
It's
my
always
God.
my pleasure
Yes,
to be
same
here with you.
Same
And
here.
this lady, if I've also gotten a lot of inspiration from watching Mile, watching Mile work and watching Mile travel, watching Mile do her art shows, and it always gives me a kick in the butt. It's like you need to be doing something, and also the way that you've embraced digital art forms. I've seen what you've been posting on Instagram, and I love how you've incorporated the manual work with the digital work. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You got
Thank you. I love you. Thanks for
got it.
always supporting.
You got
Yes. All right. Thank you for
so much.
coming. I'm gonna give you a hug.
Mwah.
Oh,
Thank you, sweetheart.
Gustavo, thank you, honey. I'm gonna turn this off.
You got it.